Hello, welcome to Flory Models. I'm Flory. Well, interesting couple of weeks to say the least. First of all, thank you for all the very kind comments about the A6 Intruder. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Lots of questions come up about it. I've tried to answer as many as I can as usual. The Hobby Boss, well, the biggest question I'm getting is the 1/48 scale Hobby Boss kit exactly the same as the 32nd? No, it's not. If you watch the review I did on the Hobby Boss kit, you'll see that there is some fundamental differences between them. Basically, no engine is obviously the biggest one in there. There's a couple other little minor differences, but what I was saying with it is the tooling is the identical. The layout, the sprues, just the way the parts all go together is almost identical. So yes, you could do something very similar to what I've done out of it, but obviously you can't do the engine trick. That's the other thing as well. Thanks to all the maintainers, I seem to get put it up on eBay as you saw, and Trumpeter had it up on their homepage as well for a little bit. I had loads of emails from maintainers and crew and things like that who actually worked on the A6 back in the day, who were saying about how it's great to see that it's a picture of it, because there isn't many pictures showing the A6 with the engine hanging on the thing. But as I said, you always used to do it, and it was great. Some of the guys, one of the guys, he did me a long story about how they used to call it sitting on coke crates working on the engines, having them in that position, and how nice it was, and various things you could do to the aircraft when the engine was out that made life so much easier, and what a great idea it was, and how sadly it's not used anymore. But certainly, you know, it was something, an inspiration for me. I saw just a couple of black and white photos, quite grainy ones of it, and thought, right, that's what we're going to do, and we're going to go for that. And it was lovely to see it, because I know some of you said about, you know, arming it and doing a version of it armed up, or perhaps even in flight, things like that. I might have a go with that with the 1/48, to be honest, and have a go with the Hobby Boss one, but certainly I'll wait now until a later version comes out, like the E or the Tram, something else like that version, and then I might have another poke at it. But certainly we've got lots of other things we've been getting on with. The biggest thing obviously is this. As you can see, it's quite a lump, and it's coming together. We're into the stage with this one. There's 2 more parts to come up. So today you've seen, got to remember where we are, part 5. Part 6 will be up on Monday, and that will get you to literally this point. What I've got to do now is all the photo etch work and the marking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to decal it now, to put in all the top areas and everything else like this, all these markings on there, get all of those on, because we're going to do things like dry brushing. We're going to be using ink washes, clay washes, certain bleaching, post shading, things like that. But what we have got is absolute tons of this stuff. So what we got here is all the photo etch railings, which have to be bent because they just come in straight flats all round all the little areas, and there's kinks and lines, and it's going to be one of those things of measuring, getting out the calipers, measuring the distance, coming down, making the bend again, so forth, so on. It's going to be a very long, drawn out job for this one, but obviously I am enjoying it, and I want to get this one through and out the way before we start anything else. So you've got parts, as I say, 5 and 6. 5's up today, 6 will go up on Monday, and then obviously you'll have parts in 7 and 8 next week as well, as we make our way through. I don't think there's going to be tons to this, because showing you doing photo etch bending work, obviously I'll show you how to do it and then I'll carry on. But from my point of view, the time it is taking to build this, I say it in the actual build itself, that because of the scale effect, you've got literally tons and tons of tiny little bits which make up big things. There must be 100 parts to make up the actual the island here, and things like that, where, you know, when you do an aircraft, something like that would just be a few bits. But because we want all those details, we've got lots of areas going in there. So there's plenty of you to see on that one. We talk about the painting, how to get the motley effect, pre-shading going down, pre-shading with white, and various things, and how to do the cheat line for the hull. And then obviously the anti-foul colour is a little bit different the way I do it. And I show about spraying neat thinners onto paintwork to give you a nice satin finish as well. So there's plenty to see on that one. Then we can get going on the Star Destroyer, and to be honest, that's where the LED strip, I nicked that because I used it on the Star Destroyer. So I've got to get that in. So that's coming in. I'm still playing with a few little LEDs and things to have the engines for the Star Destroyer, because obviously I've got to do a lot of this before we actually build it, because it's got to all be internally plumbed in and everything else like that. But hopefully I'll be starting on that some point next week, definitely. So part 1 of that will probably be another week away yet, and then obviously I'm going to be solely pushing through with that, and I'll be working on the hind at the same time to literally get some nice good projects on the go. So anyway, quite eventful. We had a pretty big storm here last week. I lost 2 55-foot conifers at the front, which some of you guys have been here and know we've now got a nice big hole in the drive from where the roots used to be. Luckily they fell straight down the side of the road without hitting anybody, any vehicles or anything, which was amazing, but caused a bit of a chaos over the weekend. And then stop it all on Monday, my car got rear-ended when a transit van tried to get into my back, rear of the boot. Luckily though, no damage really was caused. Anyway, got to talk about a couple of bits and pieces. First of all, we've got, please can you send me, when you're sending me PMs and questions via the site, can you make sure you got your correct email address? As you know, I have a priority system. Obviously members, you get full priority who come via obviously the forum, they get first look. Second look is obviously all the members asking me via the site. Then after that I tend to do Facebook and various things. But certainly for the guys who are sending me questions, members and non-members alike, because you know I tend to answer everybody if I can, that come in, you just obviously scribble down your email address and you send me a message via the contact me page on the actual main site. I then, if it's quite something technical, will go off and get you links and information on the actual thing. I'll come back and that could take me, perhaps half an hour, write it all down for you, put all the links in, everything else, and then I go to reply and then it bounces back saying can't deliver it. And that is major annoying these days because I'm literally getting a couple a day, okay? And it's, I'm spending the time writing it all, and say a lot of you are non-members and things like that, and I try and answer all the questions and there's nothing more annoying when it bounces back. And then I usually then try and different little versions of it to try and get it out. So perhaps you've done, instead of co.uk, you've done .coms, or you've just slight misspells, or I go and try and find your name via, you've obviously bought things off of a different email address, and it all takes up time. So literally what I'm going to try and start doing is, if I've got any hint it's not going to be working, I'll ping you one just to make sure it's working before I do a nice long reply, because as I said, it's a major bugbear of mine at the moment because I spend a lot of time doing that. Anyway, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you around this, because I know lots of you have asked about the cabinets and the studio and everything else, and as you'll see we've got lots more room now, and it's nice and clean.
Okay, so whilst the sun's out, and it was always a bit difficult with filming because obviously you get a massive glare over there, I thought I'd give you a run through of the new studio and exactly how we've laid it up and everything else like that, and the new display cabinets. So as you probably see, got a quick still here, a couple of stills. This is what it was like putting it all together, so that's why I had a couple of days off last week to pull this place apart and redo it. First thing you notice as you come in obviously is the stash under there. Better seating now, so comfy seats for everybody instead of being on those bloody awful wooden things. If you haven't been in here for a while, we've got new studio actual seats for the workplaces. So we've got 3 workplaces. For you guys who've been here, we've done airbrushing. As you know, we've got portable spray booths for each position as well. Okay, so we've got the smaller little booths, which are great, and then they just get sucked out through the main vent out the back and everything else like that. Want to redo the paint rack, something I'm going to do in the summer is pull that apart. But now, as you'll see in a minute, I know you're desperate to see the cabinets, but we'll show you this bit first. So the stash is down in the cupboards now, which, to be honest, I preferred them when they're out on display. It was quite nice to see. Got the computer down here as well, got the laptop plugged into the main system. That's a camera view you can see from the other side, but as I'll show you in a minute, I can flick between the two, which is quite nice. So when I'm sitting down I can read all your emails. Pretty clean everywhere. There's the ship, which we'll be talking about in the show and everything. I've put in the overreach light and installed it into my spray booth down here. It says always dropping the camera, purely because it just aids with the light. And for you guys who are watching the Iwa Jima build, you'll probably see that it's a lot sharper. Got the camera angles, I think, pretty well spot on now. And when we've got the fisheye lens on one of these cameras, enables me to talk to you directly on camera and everything else like that. Anyway, there's the old spray and the new one. You see, nice clean filter, horrible, nasty one. So it was that time of the month again. So somebody asked me the other day about filters, how many do I go through? I probably go through around about 9 or 10 a year. I tend to change them monthly. It's really easy to know when they're not working is when you start seeing spray dust everywhere, and also you can see the front of the extractor being pulled in. I'm not going to go with the full show of everything else, but basically I sit here, you see, and I can see over there, if I put my hand, as you can see my hand from the overview. Nice shot of the ship, as you can see down there. Okay, and that's it. So when I'm talking here, and I do my bit saying, okay, and you see this bit here, we do it on this little fret. As you can see, I can see myself over there in real time of exactly how it is. So the great thing about that as well, I can see in detail exactly what you see. So it's not like I'm looking at a tiny little monitor that's somewhere else. Because it's a 32-inch TV, I can see exactly what you guys can see in HD, because that's streaming over there in the same format you're watching this in full HD as well. So it just makes things a lot easier. The great thing now though, I can come up here, zip down to external inputs. Probably a quicker way than this, but it's the fastest way I found it. And I can do this, you see, and then if it flicks through eventually, come on, come on, come on. There's the forum. Okay, so I can use that and I can look through the forum as I'm working as well. So if I'm doing something that's a little bit boring, I can pop down here, we can click on Air Gallery, so I've got another mouse over here, you see. Okay, we've got down here, and there we go. See, so I can look at your work, and it keeps me a lot more informed about everything that's going on, because no longer am I completely shut away and everything else. Okay, so with the display cabinets, here they are. Now, there's two cabinets here, and I've bolted them together at the rear and at the top and at the bottom, so they don't move, which does make them a lot more sturdy than we've had before. Bit of trouble with glare because the sun's on it. As you can imagine, we used to have the silver one. Okay, and they used to do them in wood, silver or black. Now I went for the black anyway, because obviously that's our trim colours for everything that we do here at Flory Models, being red and black. So that was the point to it. They don't do the silver anymore, but I don't know, I might repaint that one. They're £169 for the one with a mirrored back. I think that it's £159. It's either £10 one or the other. Okay, but that way you can have it with the solid back, but you get more shelves, or mirrored back. Personally, I think the mirrored back's better. It makes everywhere look bigger. So if you've got a smaller room, it just makes things look bigger. And obviously it makes it look like you've got twice as many models in the cupboard than you actually have. Toughened safety glass, as you can imagine, all the way through. The nice thing, they've updated it, is that, if we open this up, you might be able to see here with the lightning. Down here, we've got a metal bar that bolts it together. The older version doesn't actually come with that. You get quite a gap as well. These guys are so close with a little bit of trimming around that they actually touch completely, so you don't get a massive seam. Also, hopefully it'll keep the dust down getting inside there. A couple of other little quality things. The glass on the sides goes right the way to the top and bottom. The older one, you get a slight little lip, and it's a little bit in there. These guys, hardly anything at all, so it really is a little bit of improvement. The doors as well seem to be fit better. I don't know why. But anyway, as you can see, I haven't put in the center glass. You can see right the way through. The idea for this, if you've got something a little bit big, it just carries on into the other case. So things like the ship going in there, things like that, I can do it that way and just have something going across. So if you did have your Trumpeter 1/200 scale Bismarck, it'd probably fit in there. So you could do quite a fleet in there and have them all in, and they would go. That's why I went for this particular cabinet versus IKEA's version, which is obviously a quarter of the price, but from a size point of view, they're pretty useless. You can get in small 1/48s, folded 1/48s, but you're never going to get a 32nd into it or anything bigger. But I don't know, perhaps you could do the same thing, not put a side on and bolt a few together and do it on the cheap. But certainly these are very expensive really for what it is, a giant mirror, bit of glass and wood, but you know, it serves the purpose, does it very well, keeps the models out of the dust, keeps them, you know, obviously out of harm's way of fingers and things like that as well, so it really does do it. The only thing is a bit naff is these. Now these are the lights. You can see up there. The trouble with them is I haven't wired them up or used them because they're pretty rubbish. One is it gives off a horrible yellow light, so everything changes colour immediately. Second, because it's in the middle, obviously it causes a shadow because I've got the biggest aircraft on the top all the way down. And thirdly, they get so hot, I'm pretty sure it'd melt the plastic. Not so much a problem on the Phantom, but if you did it onto here, where we've got, obviously up here, if we open them up, we don't get the glare back so much. But if you have a situation, those wings would absolutely melt whilst doing that particular heat coming off. It would melt those wings in no times at all. So what I did was, and it's only temporary at the moment, we've got here, which was going to go on the Star Destroyer, LED cool white strip all the way through on both the cabinets.
Okay, and today, because the sun's out, it's playing havoc with the white balance on the camera, but all I've got it at the moment is hooked up to a little 9-volt battery, little square one, and that was on solidly for 4 days, so I forgot to turn it off, and they're still as bright as ever, so it just shows they don't use any power. I've just done one loop, it's 2 lengths of it. In the display cabinet it makes it look like there's 4, but it's not, it's actually just 1 going across and then another one in this one again, and it really just gives a very nice light. Also, because the LEDs are at the front of the cabinet, what happens is it shines the light all the way down the front, and it just gives a really nice hue, especially at night. That entire cabinet is completely lit by those LEDs instead of messing around with just having the spot ones on the top. So hindsight says I should get rid of those, unscrew them, take them out because they're useless, and just put LEDs in there. I did play with it, I put them down the sides as well, but they tended to reflect off the mirror and you just got a load of LEDs in the face. But as you can see, I've got in here obviously our very nice A6, got the Harrier, which obviously fits a piece of cake. Okay, we've got then 48 scales fit, no problem at all. There's a couple probably you guys haven't seen for a while, because to be honest they have been in storage in boxes and they've all had a dust and a sort of clean up and everything else. But you can see you can even get in here on the diagonal the Mustang. Okay, it's a tight fit, but it does go. But that's the other thing, the Spitfire, because you've got a little bit more room, you can just angle across a bit and you can go in. Same with these, with the Lightning. Obviously the Lightning has been out of the way for years now, and then obviously we've got the F4 Phantom at the top there and everything else. In the other cabinet, we've just had a bit of a clear around. Obviously these are all the blast from the past ones, but we've got our nice Suffer down there, Tucano, and then obviously we've got the biplane era, or triplane even, in there. And then coming down, as you can see, we've got all these others down in here, really showing off very, very nicely. So, you know, I know it's not cheap, they are a lot of money, but quite frankly, it's just a bit of an investment to get them in. And from my point of view, what it has done is make the studio a lot bigger, because I get now all this room down this side of the studio completely. Quick things, shuttle. I must admit, a bit worried about the shelf, so we put in some massive great bolts to bolt it to the wall. Okay, but we've got the shuttle now, it's up there. I know it's not on its launch pad before everyone says. Okay, we've got the Tomcat, which is quite nice because it's high now, it's out of the way because it was just gathering dust. Okay, and that is the other thing as well, guys, because it is in that position, dusting is minimal, which is quite nice. RC stuff, and then what I'll do is over time I'm going to fill up down here with some other builds and various bits and pieces to really take care of it. And there we go, that is the studio of how it's laid out now and everything else. As I say, I've got a few things coming in which I think you're all going to be excited about over the next few months. A couple of things I think you're going to be really interested in, which obviously I'll get on here and review and everything else like that. So there we go, new look to the studio. Okay, so there you go. As you can see, we've got a lot more room in here, and obviously the members meet we'll have next month. You all guys will see it and everything else like that. The dates for the airbrushing courses, getting lots of emails about that. Basically, they're all taken up at the moment because a lot of people were waiting. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I will do it by the time you see this. There'll be a list of dates available. Now, one thing I've learned very quickly from doing this, if we have more than 4 people in here, there's a lot of waiting for airbrushes because I can only actually do 3 people airbrushing at one time and then me floating around them. So there's always like that sort of spare part of the wedding. So what I'm going to do now is limit it to 3 people at a time in here for training. Obviously, the full thing is, if you don't know, we offer airbrush courses. I tend to do a beginner's one for people who have never really used an airbrush before, and then I do an intermediate one, which is then talking about techniques and various things. What you do is what you see here. We have 3 stations here. I've got portable or smaller filters, air booths, spray booths, think of the word, okay, in front of you, okay, and you sort of go back to back with them all, and we do it like that. So you, by the time you get in here, we tend to do it 9 o'clock in the morning to around about 4 o'clock, and then half an hour for lunch. We supply lunch and everything else, as much tea and coffee and soft drinks as you can drink, and alcoholic drinks if you're at night as well, and everything else. And we have quite a laugh with it. There's no pressure, there's, you know, you just enjoy yourself, and I will just show you how I do everything, and then obviously you can sort of work through the different sort of little tips and tricks I show you about laying down paint. So if you do want to bring your own model, that's more than happy. If not, for the basic one, I've just got a couple of basic bits that you can use, like Buster and various things for showing about laying down paint. And obviously we have big plastic sheets for you to practice on as well. And things like that. The more intermediate ones, you really need to bring your own kit. Okay, so if you bring something you've just done into primer stage, then bring it in and then we can talk about going through. But what we tend to do is I try and get you in so you're all roughly at the same stage. So we don't want somebody who's really good at it and just needs to top up on mottling effects or very heavy weathering, things like that, with somebody who's a beginner. So the courses, that's how they run. So I'm doing them one every 2 weeks, just 1 day courses at the moment. 2 day courses are available, and if you want to do it in the week, then PM me direct and then I can sort out and try and get you in for the midweek as well. So there we go, the dates and that will all be up on the site anyway. Okay, next up we've got Bob and Nigel have got, I wouldn't say it's a man cave, it's more like a man cave stroke museum. So let's pop over to Kent and see their place.
Hi, I'm Bob and Nigel Pryor on the forum, and I thought you'd like to see a slightly different video. You've just seen some wonderful views over Ramsgate Harbour. It's beautiful in the summer, and some scenes of where we live around here. And what we're going to do, we're going to take you around the home, show you our work area, not as big as some, it's only small, but Nigel and myself, we manage quite well. And we've been turning out all sorts of models for many years. Me, I mean, I've done a lot in paper and card. Nigel used to build a lot in model airplanes, etc. More in traditional ways, you know, with brush and glue. But a couple of years ago, I joined the forum. I've learnt a lot. I discovered the wonders of the airbrush, and so has he. And model making has gone ahead in leaps and bounds. So, I'm going to show you around our home, show you the workspace, show you the models and all the different things we get up to, our hobbies and our pastimes. Hope you enjoy it. Come on in.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Nigel. Well, I've just sat down to my work table and I'd like to show you around. Here's our spray booth, which we use our Water Neo spray gun. Very handy and we are very pleased with it. And also we have our another handy little tool. That is a Dremel mini drill, which we use for sanding, polishing, on all kinds of work, on aircraft or anything else. Range of tools that we use: knife, scissors and ruler, Tamiya tape, knife blades, pot with sanding sticks in it, a range of paints, plastic welds we always use, pot of brushes.
Let's show you one or two of the models that the two of us have built. Can't miss Thunderbird 1, of course. Up on Nigel's shelf there's a Hummel. He's been building out of card for a few weeks now, coming along well. 1/48 Hawk and his Sea Vixen and his Sky Blazers he built for SIG a little while ago, along with his 190 and the Spitfire. Latest creation he's working on is a 132 Trumpeter Mustang. Up on my side of things there's a model of a space shuttle. That's all in card. That's a free card that's available on the internet. And a scratch built model of a pirate radio ship. That's the Mebo 2 Radio North Sea. Some of you of that age might remember that from the 70s. Something I'm working on at the moment, an Edard 109E. That's a model of a crash locally, over at Margate actually. The Aggressor, and of course the Tornado. Messerschmitt 410, and of course a Kinetic Hawkeye. And my entry for the aerobatic SIG, that's the Devoli, the Italian aerobatic team. Some of you were asking me what happened to the models I was building of Red October and the USS Dallas for the silver screen SIG. Well, I think they got a bit sidetracked. I got a little bit fed up and I made them into waterline models. They're the two together. They're both in 1/1200 scale. I build a lot of ships in World 1/1200, which I'll let you have a look at. These are all 1200 scale models of ships of the White Star Line, and they're all made of paper. Give you an idea. You can see there's one or two in there. Some of their bigger four stackers, some of the more famous of course. Here's Britannic. And to look at any White Star ships wouldn't be complete with Titanic, would it? And they're all made of paper, cardboard and wire. Of course, although Nigel builds aircraft, you've seen this one before, he's also very keen on sci-fi, Doctor Who, aren't you, Nigel?
I am.
These are what, Sevens models?
All 7 models.
Back form kits. There's Davros, TARDIS, and these are the small ones are what, they're Comet miniatures, aren't they? The Comet miniature kits.
Yes, they are.
And if that wasn't enough, of course, he has to go one better. And here's Di the Dalek, and his model of HMS Active. It's a working model. And you probably know my first love is the Battle of Britain. It's a 1/24 Hurricane. Just up above a few of the bits that we've got down in the collection. Interesting model. One day I'll finish it. It's a cardboard model of a Southern Railway Battle of Britain class locomotive Manston. All made of paper. I'm still working on that. This one was done for the 109, was it group build or was it SIG? Can't remember. There's another one in the series of the crashes. There's a model of 124th FW190. It's a model of an aircraft that actually went through a house here in Ramsgate in the early part of the war. There's a small piece of the same aircraft there. There's Gibson's Lancaster. That's another Tamiya kit. A small display I've got on the dams. There are some small pieces of Hopgood's Lancaster, Otley's, pieces of test bouncing bomb. Model of one of the bouncing bombs I made a few years ago that Nigel made out of paper a little while ago. Featured on the forum. And up on the ceiling there, that's a 1/24 Messerschmitt paper Blenheim made by Nigel. That's a model of 600 Squadron Blenheim that was shot down over Ramsgate in flames, and the crew sacrificed their lives to save the town. And next to it is one of the 2 propellers recovered from the aircraft on the seabed. That's the Revell 32 Heinkel with all its brass bits and pieces. 48th Hurricane from the film, along with the model of the camera ship used in the making of the film Battle of Britain. A model of Simon Spitfire in the film Battle of Britain. He tries to land without putting the undercarriage down. It's actually a Mark 9 Spitfire converted to a Mark 1, which is, as is the model here. And the famous line from the sergeant, "Undercarriage lever a bit sticky as it's became famous for the film." And that's a paper Defiant built by Nigel, PSV, which we've got some bits from hanging on the ceiling. Well, that's a good tour of our collection and our hobbies. Hope you like them. We enjoyed building the models and I hope you enjoy seeing them. So, bye from me, and it's bye from him.
Alright.
So thanks Bob and Nigel, very impressive setup you got there, and some great memorabilia and some lovely museum items, quite frankly, very interesting. Okay, a couple of questions we had. We were talking about airbrushes, obviously various things. We got here, this is my Infinity with the 2-prong cap and everything else. A lot of people are asking me the difference between this and the CR version. Okay, now the CR version, okay, is chrome triple plated. So I managed to get hold of one of these, okay, which is the little book on it. And what CR Plus basically means, it's triple coated chrome, not nickel, because people, apparently you swell up and various things if you're allergic to it. The other thing as well, I haven't got the overhead cam on today, so I can't show you, but I don't know if you'll see it in there. My inside of my colour cup is just brassy colour, okay, and that's because the chrome is literally, or the nickel coat has just worn away over the years, because I've had this one now 7-8 years now, so that's the thing with it. Now the triple coated chrome version obviously is, as it says, triple coated chrome, doesn't have the nickel, okay, so you're not going to swell up if you're allergic to it or whatever. Also, it shouldn't tarnish or obviously get stripped out quite like these do, and that's the big difference. The other thing as well, it does have the PTFE seals in it, so by that what this actually means is at the top where the actual the colour cup sits on, that is one in there, and the internals. So because it doesn't have any rubber ones, if you used to use hot thinners, i.e. cellulose lacquer thinners, what happens is that they swell up, or they go soft and tacky, and it can affect obviously the sealing system inside the airbrush. PTFE is not affected by it at all, so that is the difference. The other thing as well, the Evolution, can't see it, there we go. It's this one that I use. If you get the CR version of this particular airbrush, it does come with the 2-prong needle cap for the Infinities have, so you don't have to buy it as an upgrade, so you save yourself 35 quid doing it that way. Everything Airbrush, our guys over there, don't forget all members get 10% off. Just ask me for the code and I'll sort you out, and they will obviously sort out things like needles, all your accessories and everything else, so just speak to Tim over there and he will sort you all out with it. But certainly the Evolution CR Plus does come now standard with a 2-prong Infinity style needle guard. The 2-in-1 things like that, it doesn't. It's only the CR versions do come with it. So there we go. But as I said, we hopefully will have something quite interesting about them coming up in the next few weeks as well. So lots of interesting things coming up about airbrushing accessories, spray booths, things like that, so forth and so on. So in the next couple of weeks, hopefully myself and Tim will get that all sorted and we can bring you all the information on those. Okay, small update to the main site. We've now removed, I've now removed the older videos. Now these are the old ones with me with, well, not on camera, but certainly some real dodgy jumpers and shirts and things like that. I removed them a couple of days ago. I've had loads and loads of emails saying where's it gone and all the rest of it. They are still available, so if you are halfway through watching, let me know and I'll send you the links for them and you can watch them. And then obviously the big question is, why have you removed them? What I'm trying to do is obviously streamline. First of all, they're pretty cringeable to watch. Most of those ones were done 10 years ago when we were in our infancy, and it's before we got high tech. Obviously there was no such thing as high definition back then, and streaming was a real problem. So most of the resolutions they're shot in are like 240, tiny little things, but that was the only way we could stream, because obviously we only had 56k dial-up back then. So that's how I coded them. So the raw footage I've still got, but it's very low rate as well. So you can never turn it into HD because we didn't have HD camcorders or anything else like that. As well, the big thing is a lot of what I talk about, quite frankly, is crap, okay? Because it doesn't make any sense now because I've superseded it with what I think are better techniques, okay? So I talk about various ways of doing things in those videos, and then if you're new to Flory models, you watch it and probably think, God, okay? And then you'll watch something like the Intruder build, or certainly the new videos we've done recently, and I don't use that technique anymore because I found another one that's better. But because it's a 10 years span, okay, obviously as I've gone along I'm improving hopefully as well and everything else, so my techniques change, the way I do things, tools I use, and everything else. So it's getting a little bit confusing because the thing is I'm getting questions on those videos and it's like, oh yeah, well I don't do it that way anymore, actually I now do it this way, okay? So it's causing a little bit of confusion and it's really cringeable to watch. But I know when I deleted them I had loads of people saying, where's they gone? Okay, just let me know and I'll send you a link to be able to still be able to view them. They are still around, you know, floating around cyberspace, so you can still watch them. But certainly from our point of view, I think we got rid of 10. So we've still got 50 odd on the actual site itself, which are all obviously in the better resolutions. If you watch them now, every single video is now been moved over to the YouTube account and they've all been upgraded as well. So certainly as you go back, obviously the cameras that were recording it, you will see better. So certainly things like, I was looking at it today, was the Phantom build in all its glory, because obviously that's a big old project. If you watch it now, the image quality is so much better than it was on the previous people with their server, because now it's upgraded it, the way it's coded is a bit better and everything else, so certainly looks a bit better. So if you haven't seen it in a while, it's well worth going back and looking at something like that one, or the Corsair for instance. That was another nightmare kit that fought me all the way, but it's quite interesting to go back and watch it as a video. But certainly the really old ones, and we are talking like the Lancaster, which was filmed actually in 2003. Okay, we've got other ones as well, so obviously the Harrier's gone. I'm just trying to think, the Jaguar T2's gone now and everything else. But fear not, I have a plan. And I'm going to re-record all of those ones again. And actually in my stash, I've got all of those kits sat here ready to build. So my plan is, what I'm going to do late summer is re-record those ones using newer aftermarket parts that are perhaps available for them now, but certainly new techniques of actually how I paint, weather, and go about building a kit from start to finish and things like that. So don't panic if you've gone and watching it halfway through. As I said, just give us a shout and I'll give you the links to it direct. But certainly from my point of view, I'll sleep better at night not knowing they're there, because quite frankly they're awful. Okay, so there we go. So don't panic, but new videos coming along, and I will replace all of those videos that are on there. Some of them I've left, like the A10, I think that's still got a lot to learn, so that has stayed behind, and there's a few others that I've kept there to actually see, which are pretty old ones as well. But certainly from my point of view, all the ones up to 2006 I've got rid of. Okay, the ones from 2006 onwards I've actually kept in there. So fear not when it comes to the videos. Right, okay, I'm looking at it because I've got it over there on my screen. I'm going to leave you today with an absolutely stunning build from the Silver Screen SIG, which is still going on at the moment. There is Eric Westra has done an absolutely stunning job on, this is the 1/24th scale Fujami, this is the Golf Porsche 1917 from the Steve McQueen film Le Mans, okay. Lovely photos, lovely done and everything else, and it's just the way he's done it and everything else. So I'm going to leave you with his entire build and his reveal photos. So in Tech Hall next week everybody, happy modelling and take care.